is being recorded.
Okay, we are live. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending where you're joining us from. We are here today with another Wizer webinar. We're going to talk about something really interesting about AI and pen testing, code scanning, I don't know, all of that. And the thing that sort of made us do this webinar is because some of you probably know that Wizer is doing like CTFs, and we have some public CTFs that we're doing once a quarter. And last time, everybody came in with their own AI agent. It was like crazy. Everybody was like, trying, and we saw that in the logs, like things were happening fast, like at the speed of AI. Having said that, um, I don't think anybody was able to solve it without a human. There were a lot of humans involved over there, and that made us sort of think, why don't we bring some expert today and talk about how real and how can you use AI, because it is being used to scan code to look for vulnerabilities, and we want to sort of understand where it is right now. And yeah, that's it. So I have a great panel for you guys. I'll let them introduce themselves. They will probably do a better job than me. I'll start from my right. So Ofri, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. First off, thank you guys for having me here. It's really fun being with this group. My name is Ofri Ziv. I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Tensai, where I'm leading the research. We are a bunch of founders. Four of us actually have been working together for over 2 decades already.
Isn't it?
Uh, yeah, we met back in the days, military intelligence. Then we founded the company named Guardicore, which were later sold to Akamai. And we kind of thought after spending some time at Akamai to take the time off thinking what to do next, but AI shaked everything for us, and we couldn't just sit, I know, on the sidelines to seeing everything that is going on. And as like I would say, former hackers, we decided that we know that like building a sophisticated, accurate AI hacker can really solve like big unsolved pain points for enterprises, and that's kind of like how we rolled into what we're doing today.
Cool,
So nice being here. Thank you.
cool. I'll let yeah, Itzik.
Okay,
Well,
so hi everyone. I'm Itzik, and I'm the CTO at Wizer. And we're, as you probably know, we're a group that's dealing mostly with security awareness, but we're also doing secure code training. And as part of that, we're building CTFs. Robbie and I are building a lot of CTFs as we go. Every 2 weeks, we're building a new one, but we're also releasing, or not releasing, but actually, conducting an event once a quarter-ish, where we invite hackers and developers. Pretty interesting to see kind of this cohort of different types of people. And yeah, so that's where we kind of like got the idea, because we're running those CTFs, and then Gabby mentioned, that's something that we're seeing a lot, the AI usage in this world. So
cool. Thank you, Robbie.
Hey, I am Robbe. I am also online known as Ping Draconian, and I have been an ethical hacker for almost, I think, 8 years now. In that time, I've found vulnerabilities in Google Chrome, Mozilla, Canon, Twitter, Nvidia, Amazon, you name it. So I am a hacker by heart. I do what I do because I want to make the world a safer space. I want to make sure that everybody can use the internet in a safe way. So at Wizer, I also create really cool content for developers to really give them a view of how an attacker is attacking their application and how they can then defend against it. So those are really fun videos.
So you know what? I'll start with you, Robbie. Did you believe like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that AI will be able to do pen testing at all? Like, I'm not even talking about good. I'm talking about like, I remember me and Itzik talking about it, and we were like, yeah, it doesn't have the context. Like, it doesn't have the context. That's what we used to say. It can't do it. Um, yeah, how did you see this like a few years ago?
I think before the big LLM boom, there
Yeah.
was not even the idea in my mind that something like this could be possible. Like for me, it was still a very much an unsolved problem that LLMs could even exist. And then once that came out, there were so many technical restraints that was stopping it from doing bigger engagements. There were still a lot of issues with context, with quality, and back then you really could still feel that the AI models, they were just word predictors. They just predict the next word, and that was very clear from working with it. So I had no idea that it would be like this. For my whole life, I focused on storing as much information in my brain so my brain can be kind of this thing that connects concepts, and that helps me in hacking. But now there's AI agents that do exactly that. So a lot of what I've learned also starts to feel a bit pointless in some sense. So I would not have expected this at all.
Yeah, I can tell you that I also thought it's like far-fetched. So, Ofri, what made you think like, okay, this is doable? Like, did you know all of that, or maybe you didn't know enough to be like, hey, I can do this? Like, I'm just curious, like, what was that thing that you said, you know what? Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, it's a good question. The I think that as we start, like kind of like what Robbie was saying. So we started to play with the LLMs at the early days, and it started to show signals that it's getting better and better. Like like every 2 or 3 months, you've seen like the capabilities are just getting improved. And the focus of the companies was very much around software engineering at some point. And then this got us thinking that, well, this problem of coding is not too far from the problems of actually, doing security testing, which is basically, analyzing the code and the behavior of applications. And this got us like very hungry, and we thought, okay, there is something there. And as we started, building the first agents, which was far less capable and advanced than what you can get today. We've seen that it can at first like eliminate like very like complete like categories of low hanging fruit vulnerabilities that we see today, but will probably be eliminated in the near future. But then I think that the moment that we really realized that there is something here was when we were able to actually see that it's connecting the context you mentioned before, and can able to actually like really exploit like complex vulnerabilities, sometimes even chaining them, and then we understood that there is something there. And you combine that with with this issue that now many companies need to manage with their tons of code that's being generated and pushed, that is far from being even close to what we can call secure. So there is like much more code. People are, I don't know, there are much less eyeballs on every line of code that's being written. So it's a paradise for those that are looking for vulnerabilities. And with AI, you can actually scale it. So that seems promising from that perspective.
Cool. So, okay, Itzik. So Ofri's saying that, it can find vulnerabilities and all of those things. Again, at least low-hanging fruit, that's where it started. On the R&D side, can it just write secure code? Like, if it can find code that is vulnerable, um, why can't it just write secure code from the get-go and we don't need this?
Well, I think at some point maybe in the future it would do that, but right now our experience working with AI, code generation tools, is that just like a developer, it's focused on the task. And if you don't specifically go deep and wide asking it to do certain things, it won't do it. And my conclusion from that is that the same set of skills that I would expect a developer to have are still there and need to happen. So developers are still required, from my perspective, to understand what they're doing, to ask the AI, even if it's asking and kind of like drilling down into details and not necessarily even reviewing code at this point, but kind of like understanding what it does, how it's doing that. Otherwise, it would leave a whole host of vulnerabilities behind it because it's focused on building the task for you and a lot less about tracking holes and cracks and a whole host of other vulnerabilities that can be found.
Can I let those two AIs talk to each other? Like, okay, you AI, you develop. Okay,
Yep.
I get it. Nobody told you what to do. And then Offree's AI, sorry for calling it like that, will look at that code and then will suggest fixes. And then they like, where are we there? Is it far-fetched? Like, is that something possible? But you
So
can
you're
start
asking.
speak, but that's all for all of you guys.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I guess I can respond first, and then whoever wants to follow up. I think the idea of what you just mentioned is kind of like a combination of two components. One is focused on one angle and very good at being able to build, and one is being able to test. I think that's definitely a very valid combination that we could see in the future, that automatically as you build, you also test, and as you test, you also build, and it's kind of like a cycle that continues as we saw, the CI/CD evolution, being able to do more and more and more and more stuff as part of the build cycle. We can definitely see that as the next step of evolution, which we already kind of like see glimpse of, like the SAST, static code analyses, and the dynamic code analyses and all that stuff. And I think that's the next generation. So I think yes, I think the future, but right now I don't think it's there yet, though.
why not?
Just because
You've got
it's not
code,
mature enough.
you've got like AI that writes code. You've got AI that scans code. Like, why can't you just combine them? Like, why is it
It
not there
definitely
now?
already exists, right? I think all of these big SaaS companies, they're pumping all of their R&D budget into adding like AI, focusing on your SaaS. And now I think the big move here, SaaS, we've already been able to do very good because patterns in code, you can write them in static rules that can be checked, and an AI can validate that. But I think the really big move here is that now we can finally do dust scanning really good. That was an unsolved issue till now. Like if you did dust scanning, you knew the results. They were never really good because if you're dynamically assessing an application, so you're actually looking at the running application and trying to attack it, there were so many unknowns. And now AI can hack those applications and can find vulnerabilities there. Which means that now you can actually integrate these AI agents into your dust scanning, into the CI/CD pipeline, so no code ever goes to production before being first checked by an AI SAST and then by an AI dust. And I think that's going to be the really big push where now companies can finally do that with every release, because previously for this type of security testing, you only really had penetration tests, and penetration tests are very expensive and usually only every year. Whereas now you can have a little penetration test every release cycle, which is very powerful.
So, do you think there is a need for pen testers, or that's it? Like this, this it becomes obsolete.
That's a great question. I think that there's definitely still a need for penetration testers. Why? Because if you're focusing down on smaller components and testing those very thoroughly, then you're missing the bigger picture. So what I hope that we will get to a point where all code written by AI is very secure and the code itself doesn't have vulnerabilities. But once you start putting code and components next to others and you start connecting those components, you start building a big system. And then between those connections, you can still have vulnerabilities introduced. Even though the code is perfectly secure, the vulnerabilities can still be introduced at that level. And at that point, you're talking about such a zoomed out scope that it's going to be very difficult to understand all those components. So what I hope is going to happen is that AI is going to find all of the boring vulnerabilities that I don't care about. I don't get excited about finding an XSS in a penetration test. But what I get excited about is spending 5 days really digging into the system, understanding all the workflows, and then tying some little loose ends together into a really cool vulnerability chain. And I think that I hope that pen testing is going to get back into a bit of a niche. Where in the previous years, pen testing has become something very common. All of the regulations require you to get tested, and compliance tests, they are really boring for us testers as well, because the company has no real intention of being secure. They just want a little piece of paper that says, hey, you've been tested. I want to do pen tests on companies that want to be secure, that want to invest in it, that do longer term engagements where I can really dig deep. And then companies will have AI in their CI/CD pipeline, and pen testers will have an AI system that they use to orchestrate their pen tests. And I think that's the perfect solution for the future.
Yeah. I sort of think that, first of all, attackers will probably also have access to these tools, right? So if you've got attackers using AI with the same tools that defenders are using, so you're basically canceling each other. Now you're left with the things that AI can't find, because if you rely only on AI to attack and defend, then, you know, the attackers are not going to throw their towel, right? They're going to basically look for what AI can't do. So that's sort of my take. Just because it will cancel each other, but now you're left with the things that AI can't fix and find, and there will always be those things. Even like maybe it will be there, but configuration changes, and there is like mismatch in configurations and all type of things. And I wonder if like yeah, no, that's for another thought. Yeah, I've got a lot of things going on that I'm thinking, but I don't want to divert the conversation. Okay, another question. So, do you guys think that developers can just rely on AI and just stop caring about secure code training or secure coding in general? Any one of you?
I could take that. I think the answer is no, because and the reason is what I said before is I think you need to be aware of what's going on in order to be able to make sure that it's tested. If you rely completely on AI to build your entire product, maybe the future, again, far future, will be like that. But right now, you're still orchestrating the tools, you're still instructing the tools, you're still kind of like there as a team lead of robots, let's call it, right? And they're building your software. Let's say you're completely vibe coding and you're just a product. You still need to know what's going on. Like, let me give you a specific example. Okay, you build the code, so IDORs are very clear. SQL injections are clear. Those are the things that patterns can find, and those are the things that Robbie's naming the boring stuff, right? But what about situations like you have multiple, subdomains, and then you have cookie tossing risks and stuff like that? That requires a lot more components to be connected together, where I think if you don't know about it as a developer, you don't know it exists, you won't be able to even ask the AI whether that's
Yeah.
possible to craft such a malicious payload that will do cookie tossing or something like that. You need to know what you're fighting against, even if you're not the person with your hands on the keyboard writing the code. In my opinion, again, it's an opinion. People can disagree, but from my perspective, I think the entire knowledge of security, secure code training should be there. It's like a good developer needs to know a little bit of assembly language to understand kind of like the basics and the infrastructure and how everything is built and how everything is, actually the computer is executing it. They don't need to be there and write assembly language every day, but they need to understand the concepts, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Well, free. So to set expectations for the people and for the audience, because that's what your company does. Like, what is it good at? Like for real, what is it not good at? Do we actually need to have a human involved? Like, let's put some myth aside and reality check. So, yeah, what, and it's still evolving. I know, like some of the limitations today probably will not be a limitation tomorrow, but as of today, where do you think it's good? Where do you think it's lacking?
I think overall, I think that the models are doing or can be used to do quite an advanced security testing for everything from web to APIs, microservices. The model itself, it has all the knowledge in it. Like it read everything. There are many examples of different scenarios and blogs and bugs and so on. There is the question of whether or how to kind of like get the juice out of it and how to use it in a way that will allow you to expose not just the simple things, but also the more complex, those that are actually involving more components. And there are challenges of how to manage its context properly, how to make sure that the hours that it takes it to complete a complete test of a full system will be used in the most efficient way. Um, we from our observations, it is doing a very good job in these verticals, and also, which I must say a bit surprised me, it's also doing a very good job at hacking other AI systems, like different agentic systems, MCPs and stuff like that. It's some sort of AI cannibalism, but that works really nice. Um, I think the struggle is mostly around how to make it do the job in more exhaustive way. Again, when you have a very big attack surface, how to get over a more complex authentication mechanisms that many of the enterprises organizations might have in their different applications. How do you make sure that the test is both consistent in the way it works and kind of like what it generates for its users, but at the same time covering, the entire application. This is the part that is more challenging to it. But with the right harness and the right context that is given to it, it can build the right threat model, and then it can do like step by step. But you need to kind of like build it in the right way. It's quite complicated to get that when you vibe code, and we see that because we also build with AI. And it's connected also to the previous point, and I think Itzik mentioned it, like you need to be AI is a great tool for great developers. It makes them, like, I don't know, 100 times faster and better, but they know the systems, they know how to explain their problems, and they know what to ask the agent to do. And without that, I think that we are in a quite, like, as a whole, we are in a quite risky situation today, because people just ship endless amount of code and applications, and they go into production in minutes, and the attack surface is crazy. It's just like it's just crazy. And you mentioned before the offensive side using the AI and the models, and that's reality. It's not science fiction
Yeah, yeah,
anymore. We know that. And what that means is that, the time that you have today to stay with some vulnerability open to the internet, or even inside your network, becomes much limited, because the amount of different scenarios that an AI attacker can use against your application, and the exhaustiveness you can actually pull out of it is just incredible. So I think this is why there is now very big, like, a buzz with the mythos and everything, and people feel like something changed, something moved. So yeah, there is good reason for that, and the risk is real, and we need to be very aware of it, and with the code that we generate and what we actually expose online today.
So who is the type of person that needs to operate a tool like that? Does it need to be a pen tester? Does it need to be a developer, a like an IT person? Does it matter? Will it produce the same result? Like, do we need experts in this now? Like, do we need like people that will learn how to use this new pen testing AI tool set?
Yeah, I think I think Robbie mentioned it before. I think we probably need people at different levels, even in this AI era. It's not the AI era doesn't mean that the humans are no longer needed. I think that we definitely see that the agents can handle quite well themselves, and autonomously they can do very good job and expose risks. But I think that the lowest level of operator that is required there is someone that can actually like read and understand read the technical materials and understand the attack surface. Sometimes some of the attacks and some of the reproductions are complicated because it thinks differently. It finds and we sometimes do tests, like we take one of our pen testers against some lab that we generated or CTF, and we take the AI agent, and you see that it operates differently. Something is just, it's not a human being doing it. It's different. It's very interesting. So I think that you need, by minimum, you need an operator that can understand what the AI is actually talking about with the implications of it and how to remediate and so on. On the other hand, I think that there is definitely a place for very strong operator, very sophisticated operator that can pull much more from these agents, because the agents surface lots of hypotheses and ideas. And some of them, if they are being operated even by a software engineer that knows the system very well, can point the agent at some assumptions that might be wrong. And by the way, these assumptions might be wrong because it reads your documentation, which is just not up to date. So it
Yeah.
thinks that your threat model is one thing, but actually it's a different thing. So someone that is familiar with the system can definitely guide it and make the process even more effective. um, and very strong researchers can point it with their creative, crazy ideas and ask them, and just save tons of time and effort. And just you have an idea, you ship this agent here, that agent there, and it's so fun, to do a research with it. Everything is much faster, and every crazy hypothesis that you have, instead of before AI, you had to like spend your nights there, like
Yeah.
sitting on it, banging your head against the wall. And now you can just ship it, and it's kind of like it's a great shortcut for many crazy ideas. So that's really
So what I'm hearing, if I understand correctly, that it's not necessarily uh, replacing anyone. It's more a new tool in your toolbox, and it's not necessarily less expensive. It's just that you will be able to do more. So if you have a big code base, maybe before that you were able to, I don't know, manually scan 10% or look for those things. Now you can have it run, but you still need that pen tester to do the job. They just have like a superpower now that they didn't have before. Robbie, do you see, is this sort of killing the excitement for a lot of pen testers? Is this bringing new people in that are like, oh, this is easy. Look at me. I can now solve CTFs. Like, what's happening in that sense? Like, is
So
it killing the industry almost, or is it bringing in new
no,
people?
I think it's gonna make it a lot more fun. I think on the one hand, right now AIs are really good at CTFs, and that's also because they are kind of made for an AI to be good at. You have a goal. The goal is very quantifiable. You get the flag. You know you've reached your goal. Whereas the real world is much more messy. Um, so there's still a big question of how, because in a CTF you have to find one vulnerability and exploit it, whereas in a
Mm,
pen test you need to find or you need to attempt to find all vulnerabilities. There can be a lot of really big ones, there can be a lot of small ones. You want to be as complete as possible. um, it's also the case that when you're doing a pen test, like Ofri said, 80% of your work is not thinking about cool concept. It's testing out those specific ideas that you have. So you come up with creative ideas on how to attack the application, and then you got to spend 80% of your time writing a script to perform the attack, to automate what you want to test, to perform it. And now you can finally hand that grunt work off to an agent, which excites me so much. I don't have to do these silly tests anymore. I can come up with the craziest ideas. I don't have to think about, oh, I only have 5 days in this pen test, so I cannot spend a full day testing out this crazy idea. No, the idea is there. I can have an agent test it for me. And that's awesome. On top of that, there's so much more to secure applications than just vulnerabilities. Like in a pen test, we have to check that there is a logout button, and that when you press the logout button and it actually logs you out, and that the session is canceled. And that's also boring, but those things, it's one prompt and the AI tests that for you, reports it for you. It's super nice to not have to worry about those things anymore, and you can finally spend all your time in a pen test coming up with crazy ideas. Now, for some people in the pen testing industry, that's going to change a lot of things, because we are very used to having 20% of time thinking and 80% of time actually executing. So it is a big change, and I don't think that everybody will be able to kind of handle that change. There will be some people going out of the industry because they like that 80% work that is now being kind of replaced, and they're maybe less strong in that thinking part. So new people will come into the pen testing industry because they are really good at thinking and maybe less technical at executing. So there is going to be a shift, but I feel like this shift is right now. AI is bringing a huge surge of new vulnerabilities. Like everybody can find new vulnerabilities right now, and that's also what you alluded to. So that may leave people thinking that any junior can now become a pen tester. Well, right now that surge is there because we have these new tools. But as you also said, eventually it will even out because attackers also have these tools. Defenders will now also get more tools because once a lot of vulnerabilities are found, defenders are much more financially motivated to fix those vulnerabilities. It's in the end, it's always a money game. You only fix the vulnerabilities that can financially harm you because else you don't get budget for them. And that whole paradigm will shift. So I think right now we're in a boom of new vulnerabilities, and that will slowly go down as we get the tools to fix them all, and then we'll get back into a kind of an even playing field there.
One of the things that I saw, I think when we did the CTF, we were surprised. We had so we ranked them by peppers, like very spicy, not very spicy. And I think the AI was able to solve the spicy one like very fast. And we had a CTF, if I remember correctly, what that was like two peppers, and it found it hard to solve, which brings me back about how AI thinks. What we think is hard is not necessarily hard for an AI. And you told me that I think it's when the systems are disconnected a little bit, it's hard for the AI to see those connections. It really is very good when the systems are like when you look at vulnerability and the systems are like near each other. But sometimes you have vulnerabilities from different systems that can be very, very simple, but the AI just doesn't know about them because again, it knows your code set. It doesn't know because the solutions today are not just your code. You've got code, you've got other web services, you've got other systems, and attackers take advantage of that. Caching systems, all of those systems that the AI doesn't know about it. So it just
Right.
fits differently.
So yeah, I think from a code perspective, it's really interesting because there's a lot of institutional knowledge. Sometimes the code is not clear. Even the AI are going to read it and not going to understand completely what you
Spaghetti code.
meant to do, the connections to other systems and so forth, even naming convention and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, the AI is trying to read the code just like a person would read the code, try to understand the connections. If the connections are not clear, it's going to be hard for the AI as well to make the leap, to kind of like find the connection. How is it actually trying to do what it's trying to do? And then you're right, when there's leaps like that where the developer has it in their head, and they know what needs to happen, but it's not very clear by reading the code. Even if they had a new developer in the team, they'll have to explain it to them. Hey, by the way, it's called this way for historical reasons, but that's what it's doing, actually something really different. Then I think AIs are going to make the same mistakes, the same set of mistakes, reading everything and trying to piece everything together.
Think that if from what it sounds like is if you don't introduce a person into the loop, you may be having a false sense of security. You may be thinking that by the quantity that it found, that you're good, but it's not necessarily the, highest vulnerabilities or the most like you need a person in the loop. That's sort of what I'm hearing from almost all of you. All of you, not almost. That's
If I might say, the thing that I'm thinking about is like it sounds to me a lot more like the same question about developers, right? So there's the hacking part, right? So Robbie is an expert and free coming from that direction, but I'm looking at it from the developer's perspective, and it sounds like the same evolution. You still have to have a person in the loop to make sure that something is built correctly. Definitely, if you want to break it, you need to understand that all the different pieces are covered. Same thing, the person in the loop, the more they're sophisticated, the better they can use the you know very extraordinary tools that we have today. They can use it. It's like you're putting your best pilot on the best aircraft, right? If you put a very poor pilot on a very good aircraft, they might crash it as well.
yeah.
So I think it's the same thing.
Okay.
I think that like people are definitely needed, and they can definitely exploit more directions, and especially if you give them these strong airplanes. Um, but at the same time, I think that again, to meet with the pace and to be able to test at the pace where how you push the code, some parts of this testing has to start being autonomous. And I think that we already see, and like I don't know, customers that I speak with that are, I would say, companies that are somewhat more advanced, if you like have like their SDLCs, like everything is in place, CI/CD is working. So I think these folks are definitely thinking about, okay, so how is part of my CI/CD, as part of my release cycle? I think Robbie mentioned it before. I will make it mandatory to actually have a PT for every release. And the agent, even with no human in the loop, like per se, like per each of these scans, just maybe we have like in a product like some sort of like a kickoff meeting of a pen testing, like, okay, you show me where is your code, you link to it, maybe where do you keep like tickets, documentation of your system, accessing the application itself, because the agent, it's not just, by the way, scanning your code. It interacts with the application, where you can identify more things, and it's really helpful when you try to actually find these, like it's like you mentioned it, the connections between the different microservices that sometimes are out of scope for the application itself.
Mhm.
And so these things became like real, and they are actually available, and the models are doing great there. And like if you give it the right tooling and the right context management. So I think autonomous testing is definitely something that is already here. And I think the human factor on top of it can definitely make an impact and make things better. But I think that you can now take these very strong talents, these great hackers, and you can point them at your hard problems, and areas that maybe you feel less comfortable with and you want to focus the effort on, while you can clean the scale thing, and you can have like something going across your entire like fleet over and over again, I don't know, nightly or every release or whatever pace that makes you sleep well at night.
What do we do, guys, with vibe coding? Like now, and it goes back to Ofri, what you said about the pace of like apps. Um, we're in a world where like business people are like internally, forget about externally. I'm not talking about startups building companies with vibe coding and a website. I'm just saying like, hey, I want a solution. I'm just gonna develop it internally. Um, like yeah, like how do we like I didn't even know how do we start. First of all, you know what? I'll start with Itzik. Bec is vibe coding creating secure code?
The short answer is no. Okay. Now the longer answer, it really
Robbie,
depends
I
on
like how you smiled.
what
You were like, no, no, no. Go
the
ahead.
answer. No, the answer is really no, right? And to be able to create secure code You need to put some effort on it. And that's where it goes back to the point you asked about before, is like, if the developer doesn't know what they need to do or not, what they need to ask the machine to do for them, forget about what they do, right? To ask the machine to test for them, right? The machine is going to be, or the AI, I'm calling it the machine, but the AI is going to, or the agent is going to focus on your task. And your task is building software. And if your task is building software, it's not even thinking, or maybe slightly here and there thinks about security, but not, or because it uses patterns and practices that exist and maybe are secure by design, but not as a holistic, secure solution. And if you don't know how to guide it to create secure solutions, there's absolutely zero chance that your vibe coded solution would be secure.
It's
Damn.
also, we have been, like, vibe coding kind of goes against something we've been saying for years, and that's shift left. Move your security into the design phase. And that's where we have security people coming in when a product or a system is being designed and making requirements in terms of security. Now we have people making requirements for systems who have no knowledge of what internally those systems are going to look like. So they have no knowledge of what security requirements they need to give. So that kind of breaks this whole shift left model that we've been building up. So I think vibe coding right now is making for a lot of quick wins everywhere. The real cost of it will come afterwards, once these systems are actually in use and once they will be hacked a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to find them, right? So like I guess I don't know if you guys are doing something like that, but it sounds like one of the things we need to do even before pen testing is like what's new in our company. Like people are deploying apps. People that you never had, they just buy cloud card. They say, "Oh, I paid for it," or they use the company credit card and they start pulling up apps and nobody knows about it. So we're entering a world where even before pen testing, let's figure out like who's doing what, who is building what in the company, because that all of those apps are probably being used with some authentication, and if at all,
Hopefully.
yeah, and it has access to data, and yeah, wow, this is a whole new world that we're entering. What do you think about like fooling AI? Can I create code that will basically fool AI pen testing tools? Sort of like, hey, go look there, because like we said earlier, attackers are also going to use those tools. So the same tools we're using to defend, attackers are using them. Ofri, can we just fool your tool? Like,
First off, you're welcome to try. I'll give you access afterwards, and let's give it a go. Um, you can definitely play with it, and basically, we are giving to it access to different resources that you choose to expose to it. So it reads your code base, it reads your other documentation and all. So in there you can play with it and give it whatever you think. I think that most like application builders, enterprises, they're like they just like when they give access to pen testers, their initial thought is not to be a Bayesian adversary. But yeah, for sure, as I said before, it works vice versa. As I said, like the AI is doing an amazing job at exploiting other AIs, so exploiting
yeah,
the agent. So basically, by doing that, we're proving that with giving AI and pulling some tricks, the AI can make the other AI go the wrong way. So for sure, you can try to test it either way. There are different guardrails and mechanisms that, in general, by the way, when you work with an AI agents and all of the category, safety is a big issue, guardrails is a big
yeah,
issue. What do you access, what you cannot access, what's in scope, what's out of scope, what types of commands do you run? There are many things to consider when doing that. And this is why, I mean, I, I see people playing with the models, trying to do stuff, building their own agents, and getting to some really nice results because out of the box you get stuff. It's working. But when you want to think about it in an enterprise kind of perspective and scale and requirements and standards and compliance and all of that, then you start to understand that there are like lots of things that needs to be built on top of it to make it like doing what you want it to do. And part of it is also making sure that the other side cannot fool it around and make it I don't know, make mistakes like sending things to the outer world. It's just the way you architect and build it. There are parts of it which are built on top of LLM. There are deterministic areas on the sideways that this is how you guardrail some of the things. And you can also have like, another LLM that is detached from the rest and it serves as like as a judge or
Yeah.
as a control that making sure that everything is legit. So there are different strategies that are being taken to take care of exactly that.
When we did the CTF, people came with all their AI tools. I don't know which AI tools they came with. Maybe Itzik and Robbie knows, but I don't think they came with enterprise class level tools. Um, so like, why would anybody need to buy a tool like yours? Like, what's the difference between one AI tool and another that does those pen testing? Because like, yeah, people like almost everyone had their own AI tool. Like, what's unique? When I go and try to find out in the markets, can't I just use the free ones? Can I build my own using Claude? I don't know.
Yeah, first of you can, and it's a nice and great experience, and it's fun. So I recommend it. It's a great thing to work on. And as I said before, like you can also get results. Like this Claude thing will find stuff. Um, but then you realize that there are just more to it. It's not just scanning the code. You also want to interact with the application, and this interaction is not easy because you have different tech stack for your different applications. Some of the things are on the server, some of the things are rendered on your client. So all of a sudden you cannot just use like I know basic terminal tools. You need to introduce it like a full-fledged browser that can actually render everything. And then you need to handle the scope of this application, which can be very big. Some of the systems that we are running on are like huge in their attack surface. So how do you manage this context? How do you not just explode or getting erased? Even a 1 million token scope is something that can very fast go away. And I would also say that as you get to the higher context levels, the efficacy of the models degrades dramatically. There are a lot of considerations there. I mentioned safety before. This is something that is very important, of course, to people. And there is like your first engagement with AI. I think that today people are in a different spot where they were like 3, 6 months ago, for sure a year ago. But you want to make sure that you work with a product, with a solution that can make sure that nothing goes wrong there, and they can show you their or at least explain to you what's the measures that they are taking to secure and protect what the access that you give them. So these things are important. I think that like basically people test it like it's very easy to deploy and test, right? Like it's like with the CTF, give me access and then let's see what I can pull off. So you can just take it for a ride and see for yourself like how well did it work. And then there are these aspects of how again I'm kind of like maybe a bit repeating, but the exhaustivity of the test, testing different types of vulnerabilities. Some vulnerabilities, for example, require you to have some I don't know, like you need some service that you can try to exfiltrate data or signals from the network, like in an SSRF kind of situation, or other types of attacks. So that for the more complex things, you sometimes need the specific tooling in place. And even something that today is very easy for human beings, for the agents, you still today need to build like the right harness for them to pass authentication. Like our agent, it has its own email inbox, it has a phone number, it has even a credit card that it can use. So like just everything that you would expect from your human pen tester, you get it here, but you need to pack it in the right way so it could actually work and do the job. Um, and then there is the last piece is, it's also serve you with its results, and it allows you to also understand them. Seeing, like, understanding what the AI did is also a very important piece of it, right? So like I cannot tell you, hey, the AI did this and that things, and it found two things, and believe me, everything is good. You want, especially if you have a strong team, you want to go over and see what the AI actually did. One of the nice things that we have in our agent is that it actually, as part of its work, it also raises different hypotheses, like about, like, okay, maybe there is something here and maybe there is something there, and then it tries to exploit it. Strong users enjoy that because they look at these leads, we call them leads, and then they say, oh, you know what, this is actually a very interesting idea. And sometimes even if the AI, I know, failed on it in a first attempt, sometimes because it was just wasn't provided with, I know, a user that he can actually test it with, like even, in an either situation where you need two users just to prove your point. So a user can take it and just, even try it by itself, or understand what went wrong here and help the agent in the second run to do the right thing. So this transparency and visibility of what actually happened in the test is for us, it's very important, and I think people really appreciate it. And it gives you great visibility into what actually happened. And this is something that is very hard to get today when you work with a human pen tester, because at the end you get the report, but there is a limit to what you can, eventually you can write there and document. And with the agent, you can get everything. It's very easy to log everything and to present it. And also, there is this nice thing when you can chat with it after the test. So the same agent that ran this test is now accessible to the user, and you can just ask it, like, if you don't understand something, if you want some clarifications on something. So this is really cool, and it just gives you, great explanation of, yeah, sorry, Gabby.
No, I
I think
I put myself. I
gonna
had to move because I'm out of battery. I came.
something interesting as well, Ofri, is the fact that, like, if you are running an AI yourself, and you're using Claude to test your own application, um, well, if you have the knowledge to, first of all, instruct it to do the right kind of tests, if you already have that, then there's also the question of
Oh,
budget. You're using
Correct.
probably the biggest model that Claude has to offer. You're using that. Does it make sense to use that specific expensive model to do
yeah,
smaller kind of session and validation tests, for
guys,
example?
can
No.
you hear me?
Companies like what you're doing, they can choose, hey, for these kinds of tests, we know that this smaller model, which is much cheaper, it can perfectly fine test this, and you can kind of hand that off. So budget wise, it will also just be much more interesting to not do that all yourself, but to have a company that has the data of
Guys, can you
these
hear me?
models, this,
Yes.
and you guys can do like A/B testing of, we do run this model on this test and this other model, and we compare the results. And that's kind of really valuable, very valuable knowledge to have, kind of have the bigger picture.
It definitely is, and actually, Ruby, one nice things that we are doing and gives us great results is that we have it's not a single agent. Like there are a bunch of
Or
agents doing each doing different things. But when you take two agents and have them talk with each other, and then you have one that is like, I know, Opus, and the second one is GPT or even some smaller model. So this interaction between them, it's creating this chaotic conversation that makes them get to some very interesting results against one another. It in many ways, it kind of like with a human being, like the fact that you have another person to talk with and to trade your ideas with. So a lot of what we are doing while building the agent is we are basically mimicking how we as researchers are doing the job. So you know there are different tasks, and sometimes not knowing something is actually making you much more energized to do that. We have amazing example that happened in real life where um someone like a customer used the system and it just gave it the wrong credentials by mistake, not intentionally, and it so the agent was trying to log in and failed because told him password wrong. So the agent was sharing with the operator that, okay, so I don't have any credentials, I cannot log in, but it was very soon in the run. So he said, okay, I will try now to see what I can do unauthenticated, which is anyway something that it does, but it was so driven to give results that it spent so many cycles there. It found crazy stuff like bypass the WAF, found these different buckets that are like DBs accessible to the internet, like crazy stuff. So this, and again, it's very similar to human being. Like when you're not given something, so you're very focused on this specific attack vector, and yeah, it gets to
It's funny
something.
because what you described is like kind of the exact scenario that happened with me a couple of months ago, where a client gave me the wrong credentials and I had to start my pen test. But then by the time they gave me the right credentials, I had an authentication bypass. It's kind of the exact same thing. Like the AI is also goal driven, find vulnerabilities. Yeah, really interesting.
Guys, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
I'm sorry. So I don't know. My computer decided to go funny on me. Um, okay. So, anyways, we're at the top of the hour. I have more questions, but I don't want to hold everyone here for longer than we promised. This was really, really interesting. It was a fun conversation. Um, this can open up like so many topics, what like each one of those things that we spoke about is can potentially be another webinar. Any closing thoughts from you guys, and also how to contact you if somebody wants to maybe ask you some follow-up questions and stuff like that. So yeah, again, from left to right on my end, I will start with Ofri.
I think that hacking is an amazing craft. It's just it's an incredible skill. It's like hackers or people that are very creative. They spend years like learning stuff, gaining more knowledge. They have this, I don't know, something that they're like thinking in an unusual way, and they can combine different data points from various areas and just to make it work and to crack systems. Um, these are like, I don't know, unique, special people, and these unique folks are still, I would say, today better than AI. But the thing is that there are not too many of these people. They are hard to get, hard to hire. Could be expensive or just unreachable to many of us. And then I think that AI can get us very close to that. And with I think that agents today can do really well in CDFs, but also are doing an amazing job at testing real world enterprise grade applications, exposing very sophisticated, very complex bugs and vulnerabilities, and not just surfacing them, but also provide you with like real proof, a reproducible like way to see it and experience it for yourself. It opens up the opportunity for organizations that are having hard time to test their entire applications with their teams or other services. And potentially it could lead to a much safer world where, code will be tested continuously by these autonomous agents. And we will all have applications that are just secure. And we could vibe code again and again, and we'll know that the agents will keep us safe. I think we're definitely heading there. And yeah, and also thank you for having me.
It's a nice vision. I hope this will come true. Itzik, final
Yeah, so
thoughts?
from my perspective, I have to sorry that I'm a party pooper just a little bit, as I think everything you said of freeze makes a lot of sense, and I do see that vision. I do think that things will cancel, kind of like we'll balance. Okay, the world has some sort of a. I don't think hackers or attackers, right? The malicious teams are gonna throw the towel and say no, we're not gonna try, and everything is gonna be secure, and we're gonna sing kumbaya all together. And I just don't think that's gonna happen. What I think will happen is we're gonna land on a certain platform after the dust settles that this point is given. Okay, this point is given now. All the automatic testing is there. I can secure my, Robbie called it the boring stuff, maybe a lot more than that. But then there's always going to be this edge where smarter hackers and smarter attackers will be able to find more or produce more or take advantage of other vulnerabilities and other angles. It's like wildfire. Um, and so I don't think that's going to block everyone from trying to hack into systems, and systems are going to be all secure. I might be completely wrong, but that's
But it's
that.
a nice vision, Itzik. It's a nice vision, right? Like we want to live in a world where we don't need to deal with this. So
Yes, I wish, and I really hope, as someone who's on this side, like of development, I'm not on the hacker side, right? As a developer, I'd love to see everything secure. Right now, I just find it hard to see it. I just
hey,
think things are going to evolve more and more and more, and I think the better the attackers are going to become, the better we'll need to become, and we'll need tools like what Ofri is developing to be able to keep up. Otherwise, we will definitely lose this battle.
Robbie, do you have pink glasses?
I think it's a utopia. I'm not sure that we will get there. I don't think we will. Right now, the sad truth is that everything we do in security is always driven by money. And right now, we have to do security because there are malicious actors. If there were no malicious actors, nobody would care about their API being accessible by anybody because nobody would abuse it. But there are malicious actors, and that's why we need to be secure. The tools that we are developing, malicious actors are also getting access to them. So all the new tools, they will also be used. What is happening right now is the bar is being raised. Like previously, you could say, well, I won't be attacked because there are so many other companies worse than me, and attackers kind of have a finite amount of time. That doesn't hold true anymore. Attackers right now have an infinite amount of time with AI tools. So everybody will be under attack. The bar for everybody needs to be raised. So on the one hand, AI will give us the opportunity to make much more secure code. On the other hand, AI gives the opportunity for everybody to get hacked much, much faster. So I think in 5 years' time, we'll probably look back at this webinar. In 5 year time, the whole landscape will have changed a lot, but we'll still all be exactly where we are right now, kind of almost doing the exact same thing, even though a lot has changed. And I think in 5 years' time, we will be able to have the exact same conversation as we did today. So yeah, that's kind of what I believe.
So there's one question here that Ofri and Robbie, I don't think you did a good job to say which companies you're from. So like people were excited about this talk. So Ofri, I will let you start with at least, yeah, where are you from? Like we heard about you, but what's the name of your company?
So I'm working at a company named Tenzai, which it's the name is coming from Japanese. It means genius. It's kind of like a tribute to the hacker's craft, the art of like finding order in a chaos. And yeah, we are basically building AI hacker that is capable of doing offensive reasoning, and we build it for the defenders. And we help enterprises to secure their code, to secure their applications by running tests using our agents. And basically the Tensai agent allow you to run a continuous, accurate security testing of your application, and keep the world more secure.
Cool. And Robbie has multiple hats. With Wizer, he's responsible for our secure code training and the CTFs. And yeah, he's been with us for many, many years. But Robbie, if you want to say anything else about some of the other things you do, it's yeah, up
Yeah,
to you.
outside of creating secure code training videos, I also like to still do the ethical hacking work because that can kind of also fuel what types of videos we need to make because I see what's happening in the real world. I do that with Torion, a Belgian company. We do really great manual penetration tests, and we really that's one of our important things that we remain manual in doing the work. And then outside of that, I also work together with Aikido to also do AI penetration tests.
And Itzik, like I said, is Wizer's CTO. I guess people that are here probably know me. I'm the CEO and founder of Wizer. Anyways, guys, it was a great discussion. I really, really enjoyed it. We're going to send a summary for the people that joined us. So yeah, if you want to share it with your friends or take some notes, and hopefully now you know how to yeah, how to contact the panelists. And they are very, like, I know them and they are willing to help, each one in their own way. And as you can see, they're great people. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Everyone.
Take care.